So I want to do a series called YouTube Longs, which I guess is just YouTube videos. But in essence, when you make something short, like most of my content I make is for Instagram, you can only get so much across in a minute and 30-second message. And I think it'd be good to unpack some of the posts that I make and some of the conversation around it in a longer format. So I want to do this. I want to sit down. I'm going to film through relatively unedited. Maybe if I need to go off and, wrangle children or something like that, I'll have to make some cuts. Or if I say something particularly dumb in post, I can always edit that out. But that's the beauty of post-production. But beyond that, I want to just have these longer conversations around some of the ideas around fatherhood that I have, that I very, deeply edit and distill down for Instagram in that minute and 30-second frame. So I think the first one, a good one to start off with, is just the post that is currently gone quite viral for the second time, actually. I'm going to stand up and check to make sure that it's actually recording my face real quick. Testing. Excuse me, dog. It is. It's working. It is a unique opportunity. I'm in my living room, by the way. Welcome to my living room and my kitchen over there in my barely finished house. Barely finished doesn't mean like it's new. It just means that we've barely got it to a place where it's functional enough to be on camera. But I don't usually get to be here because it's usually super noisy, but my wife and the 4 kids are out at the library, so I got a little bit of time. Anyway, I think a good post to start with is this one that's been going quite viral, which is me throwing my boys. And I've got a few of those on there, so let me be specific. It's going to be this one. I don't know where the gap is. Is it over here? Over here? The one of me tossing my boys onto the bed back when I had long hair before the drastic thinning has happened. This video was taken on a world trip that we did. My wife loves to travel, and when we had just two boys, I think they were about 3 and 6 at the time. We took a trip around the world, around many different places. We went Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales. We went to the East Coast. We went to Dubai. We went to Australia. We went to Bali. We went to New Zealand. We went to South Africa. And on the South African leg of the trip is when we took this. And by the way, those are really amazing trips. If you ever get the opportunity as a family to do them, we worked from our computers at the time, and we bought this World Traveler ticket, which was incredible. And the tickets were only I think it was $5,000 to $7,000 per person for all of those flights. And I know that's expensive, but when you consider it was across 7 months and there were so many flights, it was a kind of an incredible experience. Anywho, this was taken on that, and it was at my wife's aunt's house. And they let us stay in this little unit, and the bed was extremely soft. And my boys love to do this thing where we pretend that they're sumo wrestlers running at me. And I am also a sumo wrestler, and I say, "Duskui!" and push them. It's from an anime. Don't get too nerdy with that and don't read into it too much. But then I throw them onto the bed, and they enjoyed it. Now, it's not like we go from doing nothing to throwing the kid on the bed really aggressively. My boys are pretty rough and tumble, and through growing up, you get a sense of how capable each kid is going to be. Through time spent with them, you get much more of an understanding of what you can and cannot do with each individual child. And when you look at that video, you're going to see 2 kids. One is my oldest son. His name is Oaks. He's now 12. And then one is my second son. His name is Arrow. And that second son, the smaller of the 2, he was small for his age, but he was also extremely capable. He's one of those little beings that can move and flip his body in air and just knows how to fly through space and just land beautifully and never hurt himself. And he's he hurts himself all the time, but it's not through falling, and it's not through that kind of roughhousing. He takes some interesting risks, which is where he'll injure himself sometimes here and there. But he's very, very capable, which is different than, say, my current 2-year-old. His name is Rue. He's my fourth son. I couldn't throw him like that because he wants to put his hands behind him. He wants to, like, it just doesn't land well. So I have to treat him differently. But you learn this as a parent. You learn this by experiencing it and watching the kid grow and playing with him and wrestling him with him and like hitting these little spots where you go a little too far and it doesn't quite work, and then you pull it back, and then you go a little too far and you do this thing, which is essentially threshold training. You're pushing their threshold and building their capacity. So what I think's happening with why this video went as viral as it did, both times that I posted, the first time and the second time, is that people are placing their understanding of what their kid would be in that scenario, or their own physical limitations on their own comfort with things. And that's why it's kind of hitting and running the way it's going, which is, a vast majority of people are defending it, and you get a few people who are really against it. What I would say is that bed was A, super, super soft. B, it's in slow-mo, so it looks a little bit more aggressive than it is. But I would say C, the main thing is that kid is unbelievably capable at moving through space. So when it comes to whether or not that was risky at all, that was 100%, well, not 100%, nothing's 100% not risky, but that was very much on the low end of risk and high end of joy and high end of memories. And every time I watch that, it makes me so happy. And that kid to this day loves the same stuff. He's the one who is the most bruiser, wants the most physical attention and needs that. And that was, as you could see by the look on his face, that was pure joy for him. So as far as that video goes, the general thought process behind it is each kid's going to present something slightly different. They're going to interact with the world slightly different. But if you are paying attention, if you're working with them, you'll notice that some have more capacity than others to be rough and tumbled. And they, in general, at least the boys that I've had, they need that. They need that rolling and attention, that love and that physicality. That is very necessary for them to be happy and to have their emotions managed well throughout any given day. And if they're going off the rails all the time, then I, to myself, have to go, ooh, I need to be more physical with them, not in a aggressive way, but in a loving, kind, attentive way. But that's what that video was. It was my observation about how different people saw that the very first time. And then I posted it this time, and it's gone even crazier. I think right now it's like 27 million views, which is batshit crazy to me that many people have that much of an opinion on this. But that's the case with kids. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend being that way with your children and connecting with them and spending enough time to know who they are, because that's loving them. That's knowing what they need and providing that in a way. That kind of stuff isn't for me. I mean, I get joy from it, but it's exhausting. The real thing is that's how they feel loved. And that's why I do it. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I guess that's how I'll end this first YouTube long. I think it'll be fun to unpack some of these and get a better sense of what my mindset was around posting them, or flush out some of the concepts in them. Maybe even read some of the funny comments that people leave me, because they're good. To all those fathers out there pursuing being better fathers and taking as much joy from fatherhood and not leaving this process with any regrets, thank you for being here. And if you like this kind of stuff, my plan is to post more.